Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Zui Negurkar and I'm a first year radiology resident in Mumbai. As you can tell from the title of this video, today I'm here to talk about the last 3 months which are left before NEET PG 2024. The timeline is quite similar to ours. Our NEET happened on 5th of March, yours is happening on 3rd of March. When our exam had just gotten done, for some reason everyone was saying that the next NEET is going to happen much earlier, it's going to happen in Jan or Feb. The official exam dates came out and it was official that the next exam is also happening in March. Now we are in the end game. There are only 3 months left to go for the exam. Once you hit that 3-month prior mark, there is a very distinct feeling of panic which goes through you because you are thinking whether you have even built a foundation strong enough which you can refine from this level onwards with your revision and with your test solving and with your last minute preparation. I was in the same state last year. The preparation which I managed to do in those 3 months, that is December, Jan and Feb leading up to the exam, I think it was very crucial to eventually how I performed in the exam. Everybody is a little anxious when it comes to where they are at this point in the preparation. So I wanted to reassure everyone that you are probably at a much better place than you think you are at right now. I also want to share some things which I think will be very useful, and if you utilize your last 3 months before the exam carefully and smartly, it will make a big difference to your final result. So first point is one that we are all thinking about: revision. So if you are somebody who is done with their first reading at this point of time and you are about to start your first revision, then that is great. You are already doing much better than half the people out there are. I myself was not done with my first reading by December, and I had hence started revising some subject while doing first reading of another subject simultaneously. So this is my advice, that if you are not yet done with your first reading, try and revise specific topics, pre-decide what topics you're going to read of a certain subject, do revision of that subject along with first read of whatever subject you have taken up to do for the first time. For example, reading pediatrics for the first time, I have given myself 7 days to finish my first reading of peds. Simultaneously, I want to do revision of some other subject, sense of safety, knowing that I have started revision at least. So simultaneously, I will start doing patho. I am giving myself 7 days to revise patho as well. If there are like 12 topics, I'm going to do 2 to 3 topics every day, and I'm going to write down in my diary what those 2 to 3 topics are. This way I am not losing track of the speed I need to go at for the revision. At the same time, I'm also doing first reading of some other subject. I'm doing 2 things at once and I am successfully using my time more efficiently. Try to make your revision a little more PYQ centered at this point of time. If this is not your first attempt, then you have already had some time to read and revise your notes, so you are going to go through the notes much faster. But if you are somebody who is giving this exam for the first time and you are not yet that well acquainted with your notes and it's taking a lot of time, so how to minimize that time and how to revise notes more efficiently? Solve PYQs. Take one PYQ, you read the explanation for that MCQ that is given on the app itself, then you go to your notes, you read that PYQ related topic. So you have covered one of the most high yield topics in that chapter itself. Now to cover something which might be of lesser importance but it can be asked in the exam nonetheless, you go one topic aage and one topic piche. This is a technique that my friend used to use, and he had managed to cover a lot of his notes just by doing this, and he was doing really high yield revision solely because he was managing to finish PYQ topics first as well as some other topics in the notes which were just adjacent to the PYQ. Instead of revising everything blindly, I have a focus point that is a PYQ topic and I'm revising few things in the circumference of that, and by the time you're done solving all the PYQs, you will be done with a major chunk of your notes, and whatever you cannot do within the deadline you've given to yourself, that much part can be skipped, because first, you cannot do everything. Even if you want to, there will be some part that gets left behind. You can rest assured knowing that whatever is being left behind is the lesser important stuff. And once you manage to do all this and you still have some time left according to whatever deadline you've given given yourself, then you can manage to do whatever small stuff is left behind in the notes. This way you are managing to do like 80 to 90% of your notes. Even within that, you're making sure that you are not ignoring the most important and high yield topics in that subject. I know a lot of us have made concise notes, summarized a lot of our notes in another shorter notebook. So if this is your first revision, I will suggest that don't use that shorter summarized version of your notes right now. Go through your main notes again, and this is mainly to build stronger visual memory, reading the same stuff again and again. So that's going to be better recall for you compared to reading another source this early in your revision. Don't be tempted by using the shorter version just yet. You have another 2 revisions for that, and I will explain it very soon. So let me give a general timeline. This is a much more concise video for the last 3 months. So we have 3 months, right? We have December, Jan and Feb, and we have 2 teeny tiny days in March before your exam. Those are your 2 miscellaneous or buffer days. So these 2 buffer days are going to serve 2 purposes. One is in case you get super anxious before the exam and you have to take a day off. So essentially you are supposed to rest your mind before the exam, and you are supposed to not utilize every single waking moment studying. So that one day before the exam is just in case you want to stop studying, you want to rest your mind, and you want to calm your nerves just enough so that you can be confident during the exam itself. You will have a list of subjects which you find really hard to memorize. Some concepts are really confusing. No matter how many times you try and understand those or you try and revise it, you always somehow keep on forgetting. So whatever this list of things which you have is, to revise it 1 or 2 days before the exam, because your short-term memory will help you bypass whatever the difficulties you have, and it will be fresh in your mind just before the exam. 2 days before the exam, you're going to do 2 things. You're going to rest your mind. You're going to read all the confusing and all the difficult to memorize stuff which you have. If you are somebody who has been making notebook for your grand test mistakes, the GT review notebook 2 days before the exam, you go through this notebook itself, building your confidence by going through everything that you've gotten wrong over the last year. Last 15 days of February are going to be your rapid revision days. That is, you are going to try and go through everything at a great tremendous speed in the last 15 days. You're going to do 1 major subject every day, and you're going to do 2 minor subjects every day. So you're going to try and fit all 19 subjects in 15 days. I will share my timetable with you guys, which I tried to follow for rapid revision. Obviously the basic guideline for revision is going to be same like I mentioned earlier. It has to be PYQ centered. So in the morning you wake up, you solve past year questions, you make a list of the past year question topics, and you make sure that you are managing to go through all of them. Whatever time is left in the day, you try and go through rest of the notes. You won't be able to finish everything in one day for one subject. You are still managing to cover the most important stuff, that is PYQ topics. Going further backwards, the first half of February and the latter half of January is going to be your second revision. That is, you have 1 month to revise everything that you have read so far, and during this you can use that concise summarized version of notes which you have. And finally, coming to the current stage that you are in right now, your first revision, that is going to be from December 1st, which has already passed, I know, but it's going to be December to 15th of Jan. That is 1.5 months. I know I mentioned this previously, but if you are not done with your first reading, you don't need to panic. See, these guidelines which I'm laying out, like first revision, second revision, rapid revision, it is not going to be concrete and exactly like that for everybody out there. I myself did not do all this. I did only 1 revision and I did rapid revision, and that was it, because I did not have time to do second revision at all. And I am a very slow reader. Like, I take forever to finish reading 1 chapter, which my peers could probably read in half the amount of time. But I also take all that time to understand things better. So once I have read it, I know for sure that I will not forget it. You are confident enough that your slow pace of reading also comes along with good memory and good understanding of concept, then it is not absolutely essential for you to do 2 revisions. Okay, you can do just 1 revision till February, but just make sure whatever you are doing is solid and it is not half-assed. Feel confident in it. If you are going to go into rapid revision directly, like 15 days before the exam, you can take your time, you can slow down your pace. If your first revision is not a full revision, you are not yet done with your first reading, it's fine. You can spend December and first half of January finishing up your first reading and doing revision of other subjects simultaneously. And if because of this you have lesser time to finish revision in the set deadlines which I am telling you, you can extend that and you can manage to just do one revision. That is completely fine, and that is what I did. It just matters that you know your stuff well. Now coming to MCQs and practicing MCQs, grand tests, my aim and my focus was to give more grand tests and to review those tests and essentially practicing MCQs via grand tests. So my frequency of grand tests in December was less. I was still giving one grand test every 2 weeks, but I think it would be best if you could give 2 grand tests in 1 week if you are at a good point in your preparation, Sunday to Sunday. So one test on Sunday, you take Monday and Tuesday to review this grand test, then you give another test on Wednesday, you take Thursday, Friday, Saturday to review this grand test. And when I say review it, I don't mean you go through all 200 MCQs at once, because that is crazy and that's going to take up a lot of time. But you just try and do the ones which you get wrong and the ones which you have guessed correct. That will come out to be around 80, maximum 100, but 80 MCQs out of all the 200. You can do 40 one day, 40 another day, and you can do this right before going to bed also. Your mind is bored of reading throughout the day. You want to change your form of study, so you review MCQs just before going to bed. Doing grand tests and reviewing those is enough for MCQ practice, and this is not including PYQs, because PYQs you are doing at the beginning of the day to start off and kickstart your revision. Okay, grand test you're giving on Sunday, possibly you give it within the designated time when your exam will be. Keep up this frequency of giving tests. You will be so active with MCQs in your mind, and you will start getting very used to the format of a test and how many MCQs to leave unattempted, how many to attempt, all of that jazz. And when it's getting too tiring for you to study any further and you feel your focus lacking, you should enable your passive learning. I used to watch Zainab ma'am's videos on YouTube and Marrow MCQ discussion videos when I was making coffee for myself or going to the bathroom or having lunch or having dinner. Like, I had some will to study, but I was lacking the focus. Then I would do all this. When I was lacking the will also, I would take a nap. Now we're done with all the study related things. Now I want to talk about the more practical and daily life related things, which might seem very obvious at first, but I want to share this because when in the last 3 months of the exam you are home all day and you are studying, part of the day which you spend not studying has a big impact on the part of the day which you spend studying. First is sleep. I had a really difficult time with sleep during those last 3 months because one, I had become an extremely light sleeper. Anybody whispering in the other room, cars honking down the street would wake me up. It would be so frustrating because I would not get quality sleep throughout the night. Then I started having sleep latency problems, that is, I would not fall asleep for a very long period of time. Like, I would spend hours and hours trying to fall asleep. All this used to make me have palpitations, get anxious, get really stressed and tired the next day. The next day was essentially wasted. To save you some time, I'm going to share 2 tips which I really used. One, I started to use white noise. I had my wireless earphones. I started to wear my earphones every day, and on like Spotify or YouTube you can find these long playlists of white noise. Even if your earphones don't stay in your ear throughout the night, if you have sleep latency issues, if you have issue falling asleep, found that this was a good tool for me to use. It would drown out all the surrounding noise. And second, to maintain that sleep, I was using melatonin. I'm not promoting anything or anything, but I genuinely found this to be very helpful. If I used to sleep around 10 p.m, I used to take melatonin around 7 p.m. Gave me better depth of sleep throughout the night, where I would wake up feeling fresh instead of just feeling like I had a poor quality sleep throughout the night. Melatonin is not something which causes dependence. So if you do not have like a huge issue with sleeping, it's just that the anxiety right before the exam is kind of causing you to have these problems temporarily, then I feel like melatonin was a good option for me. Again, I do not want to endorse any drug. Like, this is not my professional suggestion as a doctor. It is something that I used personally and it benefited me. Second thing is food. I know it sounds silly, but depending on how well you are eating and what you are eating, it kind of affects your mental well-being, affects your studying. Absolutely no skipping meals to study. If you're skipping breakfast, you're skipping lunch just so you can study for for half an hour more. What did you achieve in that half an hour? You could have eaten, you could have watched some study video while eating, and then you could have gotten back to study. If you are skipping meals because it makes you feel drowsy, because it makes you feel lazy in the daytime, you are not here to starve yourself and study and to punish yourself. You are here to have a balanced diet, a balanced lifestyle, and to study at the same time. So don't do anything that is not sustainable. If you feel like you get drowsy after lunch the way I used to, you can reduce the amount of carbohydrates you're eating and you can increase the amount of protein you're having for that particular meal, because one, it makes you feel full for longer, it delays your gastric emptying time, and it will cause you to feel less drowsy compared to a carbohydrate rich diet. Do not be strict with snacks and little things which you like to eat which make you feel joyous. Really, we have such little things during exam period to look forward to, and if a snack is one of those things, then do not deprive yourself of these small joys in life. You can do all that once your exam is done. Right now, there's no need to be strict with your food intake. If you're gaining weight, if you're losing weight, it's fine, because you are right now spending all your energy on something that is so important. All of these changes are temporary and you can work on them after the exam. So right now, don't lose your focus over these things. Third is physical activity. You're going to be sedentary for almost 95% of the day. So whenever you can, that is for 10 to 15 minutes in the morning and in the evening, you should go out for a walk. Why a walk exactly and not gym or indoor activity? Because fresh air and going outside of your house is extremely helpful, because you are not going to be stepping out of your house probably for like the next 2-3 months. It's going to help you stay sane and not lose your mind. What should your mental attitude be like? You can very easily be sucked into negative thoughts and negative spiraling and doubting everything you have done so far. For example, I used to feel like, okay, this attempt is not going to happen, I have to repeat, I might have to stay at home, I'll move back to my hometown, I'll stay with my family, I'll study again, I'll do this, I'll do that. The exam is right in front of you and you are fantasizing about how you are going to do better in the next attempt. Focus on the attempt that is there in front of you right now. Even though till this point in your preparation you have not managed to do everything you wanted to do at the beginning of the year, you still have 3 months to go. Those 3 months can have a tremendous impact on your final result. There's no point in giving up right now so close to the exam. If you're doing things, you might as well do them 100% and go all out. The way I used to curb my negative thoughts, maintain a positive attitude, was in my diary, one page in which I had divided the page in 2 halves, and on one side I used to write one affirmation and on the other side I used to write one gratitude. The affirmation would look like, I am smart, I am hardworking, and I am capable and worthy of a good result in NEET PG. The gratitude would look like, I am grateful that I have the sources which I need to study, I have a supportive family and supportive friends around me. This is just an example of what I used to write down. Sometimes there might be other things which you have to be grateful for. It never hurts to shift your focus from what you are lacking and what you are unable to do right now to what you have and what you can do. I don't want to turn this into a video where I preach things and I talk about manifestation and all that, but this was something that definitely helped me, and it only makes sense for me to mention it because these last 3 months, it's a big game of your mental space and your mental energy. If you can manage to keep your spirits up, there's a lot of productivity which you can save compared to when you are down in the dumps. So yeah, that is all that I wanted to share, and I also want to wish all the very best to everybody out there who is getting hit by the sudden realization that there is only 3 months left. Trust me, these 3 months are going to be the worst and the best months of your life. Just remember that you are only studying and giving this exam to specialize in something that you are interested in, and you are doing it not as a compulsion but as a choice and as something that you are opting for. It is just an exam. You have given so many of these already. You are in MBBS, you have given 5 exams already, you have given NEET UG. You're going to crack it because you have a methodical approach, you are hardworking and you are disciplined, and that is all that any aspirant needs for exams like these. Try to be organized. Try to remember that every time you move in the forward direction, even if it is just by 1 or 2 steps, that is still progress. It still counts as progress. Yeah, that's it from me. All the best to all the NEET PG aspirants. I hope these last 3 months for you are just exactly the way you want them to be, and that on the day of the exam, in the morning when you wake up, you feel like you have done everything that you could have done and you feel 100% satisfied with your attempt. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.